So my Revolt Summit breakdown part 2, Big Mike, coming right up. What's up, y'all? Welcome back to Common Sense, Logic, and Reason, and thank y'all for joining me today. So this is my part 2 of the Revolt Summit, and this is about Big Mike. Now, I had never heard of Big Mike before, and apparently he's from Atlanta. And from what I heard, I'm gonna have to keep up with him and see what things that he's saying, because I agree with a lot of what he said, and I disagree with some of the things he said. But from what I'm hearing, I think with Big Mike, he aligns himself with the left, but he's a typical a black person who's a conservative and just waiting to break out of that cocoon. Because the things that he said, he just spoke a lot of logic, and generally, people who speak logic are conservative, and people who are from the standpoint of emotion are leftists. And he spoke nothing but logic. So I'm definitely have to keep up with Big Mike and listen to the things he say, and because I might be a fan of his. He may be another Candace Owens for us if he just blossoms out of that ridiculous liberal shell that he's in. But anyway, now I'm gonna start with him. Now he basically also was posed the opening question like everybody was, and that was, what do you think is the most important issue for black people in this current political cycle? And he made something statement that I agree with. He said that Africans, Americans, we have to be a bigger part of the economic landscape, and we have to be owners and buyers, and we need to be get owners instead of buyers, and owners and buyers, and that we need to basically be self-reliant. Again, completely agree. You get no argument from me, but it's never going to happen if we constantly being perpetual victims, right? We have to stop the victimhood, and we can easily produce that. But we have to start doing like every other group, every other race. Let's take a page from the Asian people. Let's start pushing our children more. But let's just start dealing with the real issues in the black community. It'll happen. But anyway, now I think Mike, he probably, from my perspective, he makes the most profound statement in the whole summit, right? He said that he's traveled around the world and met with different black people, and he noticed that he has more opportunity than most other black people in the world. Completely agree. This is why people are trying to come to America. Now, if he has all this opportunity, as I keep saying, what other black person has no opportunity? But you won't have any opportunity if you're being victims all the time. Stop being victims. And I keep saying this over and over again. We stop being victims, stop crying about being oppressed, stop making ourselves oppressed, mentally enslaving ourselves, and black people, we will start to produce. End of story. Now, he was asked by the moderator, the same question of, should we vote based upon someone else died for us? And he went on about it being a process. Again, I don't disagree. But now, the exact process, I won't go into that. But the process is really, truly voting yourself. You individually. What are you individually trying to do for yourself? That's the only process that's really necessary. And as I've said before, there's no person in office is going to stop you from achieving your goal in life. I don't care who's a president, who's a governor, who's a mayor, who's a dog catcher, who's on the city council, who's on the school board. You want to achieve something in life, go do it. You're not being held back. You're not being oppressed from doing that. The only thing that we are being held back from is just going out there and doing what it takes to be successful, right? And then he basically, the moderator asked him a question about negotiating with leaders and people who is in charge. Now, he talked about the idea of marijuana decriminalization and how he's known people, students, guys, or people who have lost scholarships off of simple marijuana possessions. And I agree with him on that. I think that marijuana should be decriminalized. Now, I've heard many people make arguments against it, saying that it basically causes mental issues, it causes mental problems. But you know what? we grown as adults. If you want to smoke weed, knowing that it's going to bring problems on you, then you're doing this of your own will. But anyway, as far as marijuana decriminalization, how about stop messing with it? Because at the end of the day, it's illegal now. And if you mess with marijuana, knowing it's illegal, and you do this of your own will. So we need to take some personal responsibility. I don't care about somebody losing a damn scholarship. If you mess with marijuana, knowing that it can cause you to lose your scholarship, you know that's on you. Nobody but you. So if marijuana is illegal, take some personal responsibility and say, I'm not going to deal with it because it's illegal. Just like running a red light is illegal, so I'm not going to do it. You know what I'm saying? Personal responsibility. For some reason, the left just seem to have this allergic reaction to a personal responsibility. You know, it's like holy water to a damn vampire. You know, I remember the movie of Vampire Brooklyn when Eddie Murphy was in the church. That seems to be how black people and leftists respond to personal responsibility. We need to take some, right? Now, there was a point in this video, one of the reasons why I'm a huge fan of his is he came to Candace Owens' defense, right? Now, everybody was just, you know, the crowd was clearly leftist. Most of the panelists were leftists. They were piling on her about uh, speaking on the black family and how we need to fix the black family. That's the problem. You know, father absentee, single parent households without fathers. This is a problem. Everybody was just coming on her. He basically came in and said, hey, why are we going after this woman and criticizing this woman for something that Farrakhan has been saying for decades? And of course, everybody started cheering. And he made that's actually true. I completely agree with him on that. You know, Farrakhan has been saying this for decades, and of course, nobody's going to call him a sellout. Nobody's going to attack him. But if we want to fix a problem, we have to. We want black people to progress in this country. We need to solve the problem at the problem level, and that's the family level. Fix the family, we won't have any issues in this country. So big ups to Big Mike on that one for trying to talk sense into idiots who don't want to hear the truth. And of course, you know, the moderator basically criticized Candace somewhere in there, at some point, how she's already said that. Well, of course she said it. She'll keep saying it because that's the damn problem. But anyway, he starts talking about how both sides are arguing over who's our oppressor. Now, this is where I disagree with him on this, right? Because as a conservative, I vote for the Republican side more because they align more with my views, but I don't consider them my oppressor. I don't consider them my master. I vote for the Republican Party because the Republican Party is the party that's most aligned with my views. So I would say from the conservative standpoint, we tend to be a lot more knowledgeable, and we know that the Republican Party is not our masters. Now, the Democrats, these brainwashed blacks, I don't know, maybe they believe that, but I disagree with that from the standpoint of conservatives. We know we don't have any masters, and we just aligning with the side that best support our views. Then he answered the question about when was America great. He talked about the 7 years after Reconstruction when there was so much growth amongst black people. And again, no argument with him on that. But I say that I say that America's great for black people now. But if that's true, then we see what black people were able to produce way back when there was real oppression that we can point to. But again, I say let's make it with the point where we should go back to. As I say, hey, let's start going back to when we were manufacturing, we were outproducing everybody, and that's what made America the nation it is today. But that's a good point on part of Big Mike. Again, a great logical breakdown, a great logical point. Why looks like I'll be a huge fan of him, right? Now he went talking about the self-organization and his 10-point agenda. Again, I never really heard his whole 10-point agenda because I never really heard of Big Mike prior to this. But I have a 1-point agenda: fix the damn black family. Or hey, here's a 2-point agenda: roll up your sleeves point one, and get the goddamn work, point two. Now, beyond that, we really doesn't need anything. Now, I'm guessing his 10 point goes into more specifics, but like I said, there is no oppression in this country stopping a black man from doing achieving anything other than what we oppress ourselves and mentally and change and enslave ourselves. Now, then he talks about he's a point he started talking about his 15% argument. Now, I don't completely disagree with this, but I do disagree with this. And the 15% argument is that if we are 15% of the population, which is we are 13, but if we are 15% of the population, then we should be 15% of this, 15% of CEOs, 15% of congressmen, 15% of city, mayors and such, 15%. I disagree with that because there's no set percentage. And you don't need to be a set percentage to produce anything, right? If you want to achieve something in life, go do it, right? Because we damn sure make up a much greater percentage of NBA players and NFL players. But there is, like I said, how many black people out there as far as CEOs, right? You said we should be 15% of black CEOs. Well, how many black people out there are going out there and doing what it takes to be black CEOs? Get more black people going out there doing what it takes to be CEOs, and more black people will be CEOs of companies. Again, I just don't agree with this whole we got to be a certain percentage of this and a certain percentage of that. We just need to stop being producers, being productive, and not being victims. Okay, so I don't necessarily disagree with this 15%, but I don't agree with it either. We just need to start being, as I'm saying. And then he basically was posed a question about, well, what can we do about police brutality, right? And again, I've said, he talks about dealing with police brutality at the police level. In other words, let's go after police officers, specific police officers, not go after whole departments, because a lot of these departments, there are black people working there. Then he also talked about the whole, instead of going after a specific Waffle House, and this Waffle House incident I had never heard of a black female was mistreated bad by cops at this Waffle House. And then blacks were talking about, well, we need to ban Waffle House. He made a good statement, a logical statement, sensible statement. Hey, there's a lot of black people working at Waffle Houses. So let's not go after all the Waffle Houses. Let's just go after this specific one. A lot of blacks who basically get out of jail from being incarcerated, and a lot of them get jobs at, say, a Waffle House. So I think that was a sensible statement. But then again, as black people, if we start acting like civilized human beings, there will be no need for people to look at us in a certain way. And of course, the black female, as they say, she was asked to pay for silverware, something that Waffle House can do, and it was supposedly a white woman who called the cops on her. But what I want to know in this situation, I never heard of it. I want to know what happened between exchange between her and the cops. Did she act like a jackass instead of imply or complying to what the cops say, which you should do? Because that's something that black people are known for, acting like a bunch of jackasses. When police officers come, they don't comply with the cops, they don't listen, and then they escalate. So I need to do some more research into this situation to see what happened. But anyway, moving on. Now, the last thing I want to talk about that Big Mike spoke on, and I don't agree with this because I think it's irrelevant, but he talked about ratifying the 13th Amendment. Now, if you aren't aware, the 13th Amendment is the amendment that pretty much ended slavery, and it's also the amendment that they use for, I believe they used for the birthright citizenship thing. So apparently it wasn't ratified. But here's the question though, why would you be worrying about ratifying a law to end slavery when slavery is over? Okay, there are no slaves. And if they say that the government allows slavery again, well, and they say, well, they're going to put us back in chains. Well, who was in chains? What black person alive today was ever in chains to begin with? So how are they going to put you back in something that you never were? Again, don't cry about your ancestors. Your ancestors were enslaved in chains back then. You aren't, and you never were. So they can't put you back into something the way you weren't. So as far as ratifying 13th Amendment, I think it's a waste of time. Ratify for what? There is no slavery. Now, like I said, I agree with a lot of things that Big Mike said. I disagree with some of the things he said, but as I said before, I'm gonna have to keep an eye on him and in some of the things that he said, because like I believe we have a conservative in waiting. He just has to come out of that cocoon. So that's why I'm a fan of Big Mike for what I'm seeing so far. But anyway, this is my breakdown of Big Mike at this rally. And I again, this is my second video. I'll have more videos to come on this. But anyway, this is my breakdown of Big Mike. And as always, y'all, until next time.